News right now. Nigerian Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, will be visiting the Alliance of Sahel States anytime from now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to repeat, should in case you are not with me. The Chief of Defense Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Christopher Musa, is going to be visiting Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. According to the information that we have, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria sat down with AFP on July 3rd and dropped something massive. He announced that he is planning to visit Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger in the coming weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the breaking information right now. All three AES states, the Nigerian Defense Minister is going to be visiting all the three AES states, where he's going to be meeting with the head of states. Now, according to information, they are going to be talking about bilateral security, cross-border security, intelligence sharing between Nigeria and the three Alliance of Sahel States. This is surprising, ladies and gentlemen. You see, all three AES states, the countries that broke away from ECOWAS in search of truth, in search of their own sovereignty. Now, the same three AES states that ECOWAS threatened to invade just 2 years ago, spearheaded by this very same team of defense brass in Nigeria. When you're talking about the top military brass in Nigeria, as of the time when the threat to invade the AES state was actually on top of the mainstream, the same man now occupies the defense ministry in Nigeria, will be packing his bags and be visiting the three Alliance of Sahel States. Now, there is a reason why this meeting is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people are reacting. They say, why will Nigeria want to come to the AES? It is very, very important for Nigeria to visit the AES at this point in time because Nigeria needs Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger right now. And the reason why Nigeria needs the state right now is because of the escalation in insecurity in Nigeria. All right? The escalation of insecurity in Nigeria is at an all-time high. We have never seen this level of insecurity in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Nigerian, I am a true testimony to the fact that we have never witnessed the level of insecurity we have in the country right now. And across the continent and across West Africa, okay, if there are certain people that you can approach right now, we're not talking about social media shenanigans, we're not doing photo ops. If you are not trying to go with narrative, if you want to be honest with yourself, there are three countries in West Africa right now as I speak that you can discuss security with, that will be honest with you, that will be very, very blunt with you. And you can discuss security situations, you can discuss solutions with them because they are going to give you practical solutions that works, not from theories. Because one of the most kinetic theaters across the West African region is the Sahel region. And these guys are scoring results and they are claiming scalps almost every day. So look at their statistics, ladies and gentlemen. The proof is in the pudding. So I am not surprised that the defense minister of Nigeria is now saying that it is very, very important and even imminent that Nigeria, at this point in time, holds this bilateral conversation with the Alliance of Sahel States. Here is why this is happening. And it's not because anybody suddenly fell in love with the Alliance of Sahel States from Nigeria, political class or whatsoever. JNIM, the Al-Qaeda link group for the support of Islam and Muslim, has suddenly been pushing from Niger, from Burkina Faso, through the northern part of Benin. They even occupy major swaths in the northern part of Benin, who has been operating on isolated security networks. Now they are pushing into the northwestern part of Nigeria. They are not comfortable staying in the Sahel anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to repeat so that you understand what I'm saying. They are not comfortable staying in the Sahel anymore. Now they are migrating south, and Nigeria is feeling it. This is not the first time we are hearing in Nigeria that JNIM has actually claimed communities. This is not the second time. This is not the third time. JNIM is beginning to become a mainstream name in the northern theater of operation in Nigeria. Their operations are extremely ruthless. And now I see the reason why Nigerian military brass is now looking towards the Sahel. Let's have cross-border security architecture. Let's have some conversation. Recently, the African Command of the United States made a statement through General Dagfin Anderson. They said that their mission in Nigeria is complete. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, and I want you to listen clearly. The United States said their mission in Nigeria is complete. That the reason why they came to Nigeria was to eliminate the Islamic State second in command, Bilal al-Minuki. That was why they came to Nigeria, and that mission is complete. So what happens to the narrative of the Christian elimination by some Muslim groups? Because in the first place, that was the context of coming to Nigeria. So if your biggest security partner is making such statements, you definitely know that your destiny is in your hands. So I think Nigeria knows the truth that when it comes to a very brutally honest perspective, ladies and gentlemen, the best guys to turn to in West Africa right now is the Alliance of Sahel States. They have been there, they have done it, they have earned the badge. We have seen some of the most sophisticated empire real estate modern technology drone. I'm not talking about the first edition. I'm talking about advanced capabilities, the latest ones. And it is not the fact that they just take this equipment and they use them. They use the equipment, they talk with their Turkish partner, and they exchange ideas. We think you can improve on this. We think you can improve on this. They make some sort of remodification and they send back the new capabilities. So these guys are already on a whole nother level. And the defense minister of Nigeria is saying it's high time that they visit the Alliance of Sahel States, shake hands, and talk about bilateral security cooperation. And I will tell you why this is even more important that Nigeria have this conversation with the AES. In Nigeria, every Nigerian watching me right now, you definitely know that there is something called peace negotiation with bandits in Nigeria. You know that there is something called repentant Boko Haram. You know that there was a time that an individual, a Nigerian citizen called Sunday Jackson, attacked a bandit that was trying to unalive him. He overpowered the bandit and, took over the bandit, presented the bandit to 72 virgins. Then what happened? he was sentenced to death. It was the United States representatives that said the Nigerian government should stop that nonsense. So, whatever anybody is going to talk about here, we have to be honest. There is a serious problem of illiteracy, morbid unemployment, drug abuse in the northern part of Nigeria. The Almajiri escalation, which is now endemic and is becoming a pandemic in Nigeria. See, Nigerian security issue is now so big to the point that they might be looking at this situation that if we don't do something about this, it might even get bigger than us. You see, I can't blame the United States. If the United States if they decide to leave Nigeria today, I'm telling you, I can't blame them. No country in the world can save Nigeria from this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, I repeat with my full chest, no country in the world can save Nigeria from this situation because the problem is indigenous. You can't. Now, you see, Musa himself said to AFP that they are opening a whole new security sector to cover Nigeria, Benin, Niger border. Now, Nigeria and Benin Republic, they already have a whole security architecture that they are working on currently, and it's producing nice results. There is a lot of counter-offensive from these groups, but right now they are controlling the tempo of escalation in the Niger-Benin corridor. So they are thinking that extending this security network to Niger Republic can be good. Now, I'm going to say something, all right? Because the reason why the terrorists are no longer staying in the Sahel is because the Sahel has become extremely hot for them. So, tell me, which type of terrorists that have the human thinking would prefer staying in a place where every moment is a Bharatiya Akinci drone locking over you, or coming to a place where, every week they give you guys money, you demand whatever you want, you can take kids and tell the government that this is what you want, the government is calling you for peace negotiation and all of that. Even soldiers are the one they're the one carrying the camera, and bandits coming with uniform of some of the security personnel that they single-handedly unalive, wearing the uniform of those security personnel, and the government still begging them for peace negotiation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the situation of Nigeria in 2026. So, a lot of people are saying that you can't trust Nigeria. We understand. You can't trust Nigeria because of the track record. From the time of, the AES getting out of ECOWAS, the move they made. But this situation is seriously desperate. And it will be down to the purview of the AES leaders to make a decision. Now, the United States, I don't know what their interest is in Nigeria, but the truth is, the Nigerian political leadership does not want this to end. I stand to be corrected. There was a situation in the Old Oyo Park. And I don't even trust some Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, on this matter, ladies and gentlemen. In the Old Oyo Park, there is a place called Bani in Oyo Park, Oyo National Park in Oyo State. Are you guys aware that there is... Oh, for Jesus Christ. Are you all aware of the new lithium deal that have just been announced in Nigeria, making Nigeria one of the biggest lithium exploration, place in the continent and across the whole planet, right? That is minimal. In the whole Oyo National Park, this is a place where motorcyclists earn 12,000 naira for a single tour movement. Not fro, tour. 12,000. Some of them said they make, some people say they make more than 200,000 in a day. Some are saying they make more than 120,000 in a day. These are civilians. Who are they working with? Chinese. According to the information we had, they said the Chinese give them weapons and they get lithium in return. This is not the first time the Chinese have been captured in Nigeria. A lot of Chinese citizens, oh, thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. They are always, and I don't understand where that is going on. I don't understand why China choose to, I won't say China, I would say Chinese citizens in Nigeria. They give weapons to these guys, and in turn, they get lithium. I'm talking about truckload of lithium. I'm talking about trucks. The last time they were arrested, we were seeing about 18 trucks, unaccounted in Nigeria here. That is aside, okay? Do you know that they are mining gold in this same location I'm talking about? Now, this current deal in Nigeria has just been announced. Making Nigeria a lithium powerhouse has just been announced in Nasarawa State. That is the place where a lot of Chinese have always been arrested. I think it was even the Chinese that made them discover that there is lithium there. Or probably, there's no way the Chinese would do that without the locals knowing. But now let's go to the Oyo National Park. That place is so big, it can be a country on its own. It's inside Nigeria. It connects Oyo State to Benin Republic, to Niger Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a forest belt, it's just so big. They call it the Old Oyo National Park. Now, here's what I think. I think the planners of Nigeria, there is something they're hiding. Why is it that everywhere they call national, federal, that is always isolated? It is always fenced, it is isolated. You see that federal tag? But these are the places in future where you find a lot of bandits. But you now know what is funny. They will call it Federal Forest Reserve or whatsoever, but you find bandits there. And the situation in Oyo State has opened our eyes that it is in this place, this so-called federal government, whatever, and these bandits that operate in this place, it's as if the whole federal tag gives them a sort of cover. The state security network cannot really attack them like that because it's a federal, facility. So, and they are mining gold, they are mining lithium, like motorcycles. These guys are like zombies. They are carrying lithium. Some of them, they've carried the lithium they're carrying behind their motorcycle is so big that they have to bend their head forward. And this lithium, this gold is leaving Nigeria every day, per seconds, per minute, per hour. It's unaccounted for. That is to the citizens. It's unaccounted for. But to certain people within Nigeria, none of those minerals is going to leave the country without these people knowing. If Chinese personnel are there, are you telling me the United States is aware of what is going on in that? Are you telling me the United States has something to do with that? It's confusing. I've said this before and I will say it again, ladies and gentlemen. The situation of Nigeria is so desperate that I don't think anybody can come and save Nigeria from this situation, because this is like something you build, like it's indigenous. How do you solve the imaginary crisis where you see clerics in the north that we tell Nigerian by design, welcome, welcome. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for the donation. Do you think, right, that it is the United States that told the people in the north that unalive Deborah? Nigeria, look, A lot of people don't understand what is going on in Nigeria, and this all. Well, let me continue the whole storyline so that you understand. Now, the funny aspect of this whole thing is the CDS has now said something. He said politically there is always that issue, but militarily we have been able to go beyond that. Do you know what that means? Politically, we are pretending to be. Let me read that statement so that you understand. The CDS, the former CDS of Nigeria, now the Minister of Defense said, he said, politically, there is always that issue. Politically, ladies and gentlemen, he said there is always that issue. But militarily, we have been able to go beyond that. That is a smart punchline right there. What is he saying? Let me break it down to you. All right. He's saying politically, we are pretending to be on different sides so that it can suit the narrative of certain people and what they desire. But militarily, we know who the real enemy is, and we are coordinating already. Ladies and gentlemen, do you dig? This is the current reality of Nigeria, and Nigerians are beginning to wake up. Nigerians are beginning to look beyond the superficial. Now, he followed it up with, we need to close the ranks. That's the statement from the defense minister of Nigeria. He said, we need to close the ranks so that we can defeat these enemies. I can't lie to you. From what I've heard from some of the military personnel in Nigeria, which some of them are my brothers, some of them are my friends, they said, sometimes it's not your technical know-how as a security personnel. That's so I asked them, is it? They said sometimes it's just luck against these guys. I know a lot of you must have heard Nigerian military personnel saying that the weapons in the hands of the bandits, the terrorists, is superior to what they are carrying. And let me shock you. Are you aware that it is some of the people within this country that are also funding these guys? Let me tell you what just happened. There is this guy called Dogo Gide in the northern part of Nigeria. There is another story called Bello Lankai. They call him the celebrity bandit. I'm not going to talk about that story right now. Let me talk you through this Dogo Gide of a guy. This is a known bandit that have eliminated a lot of Nigerians in the north. Are you aware that the Lakurawa that operate around Sokoto State, they were passing and they saw a lot of cattle belonging to this Dogo Gide? So the Lakurawa now asked those guys that were working for Dogo Gide that you have to pay us jizya. Now, what is jizya? Jizya is a tax that you pay to people that, numerically, in a conflict situation, they are superior to you. Or maybe militarily, they are stronger than you. So you pay jizya for your life. It's like this is the tax you pay to live. So I feel like at the time when the Lakurawa was moving, they discovered that tactically and operationally, they are superior to those guys right there. And from their own estimation, they are looking at it that if close combat, if contact were to be initiated at that time, they will completely erase those Dogo Gide boys. Do you know that the Dogo Gide boys refused to pay the jizya? And what happened? The Lakurawa initiated contact immediately. It was a close combat operation that didn't last for too long. They overpowered the bandits of the Dogo Gide boys. After overpowering them, the Dogo Gide boys called for backup. They called Dogo Gide. I'm getting somewhere, stay with me. They called him. He now reinforced his ranks with 100 bandits. Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself a question. Where are these boys coming from? Where are they coming from? We've been fighting insecurity since 2010. Where is this attritional backup? This attritional reservoir, where is it coming from? Now, it's coming from the north. These are problems that are fundamental to the north of Nigeria. Now, they brought these guys in, then they overpowered the Lakurawa because of the numerical superiority. The Lakurawa backed off. Now, the Dogogide boys that was injured, they were on the ground. While they were on the ground, ladies and gentlemen, guess who stepped in? A military helicopter, allegedly, even though we have the video, but let's still call it allegedly. Even though it was recorded by a local that was there, let's still call it allegedly, came to evacuate the Dogogide boys. A known bandit. Evacuate them for what? Whose money was used to purchase that helicopter in the first place? Probably Nigerian taxpayers' money. So I know that the last time Anthony Joshua, a Nigerian, had accident in Lagos, nothing, it was smuggled inside a police vehicle, a very dirty police van like that, to take him to the hospital. But it's a bandit. You are seeing an helicopter. That is to tell you how important that bandit is to them. According to information, Dogogide himself entered the helicopter with the personnel that came and even waved the people. See, you cannot save these people from the... Oh, man. So don't let me say that so that the relationship with the AES, nothing will happen. Let me just continue with what with what has been said, right? Now, the political class, in my own opinion, they are playing games. But the military class knows already what is going on, and they know that when the political class makes certain inflammatory statements because of who they serve or who they, they hold their allegiance to, it is the military class that will lay down their life on the line of contact. I can't count the number of Nigerians that have lost it in this war that is enriching this pocket of certain people, or in my own opinion, 9 out of 10 times, some of which are political. Old men talking, young men dying. Just ignore the politics, that's what they said. Now, a lot of people are saying that this relationship could be dangerous, that it might be, the AES and this Nigeria collaboration, that they don't want it. Well, according to information, Nigeria has a presidential election in 2027. The jihadist violence that was once concentrated in the northeast, now shifting. School kidnappings in the southwest, armed groups overlapping with illegal mining operation across the country. Musa admitted himself there are fears voters in the northeast would not be able to cast their votes. His response: we are trying to ensure that that doesn't happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I think. I think this AES outreach is about defending and defeating the jihadists. It's about making sure that Nigeria can actually hold election in the northwestern part of Nigeria and probably protecting the citizens. Now, when it comes to the AES, the way they respond to security call is on a whole different level. Benin Republic once was in a situation that was extremely deadly, and they called on Captain Ibrahim Traore, and he did not hesitate. He did not think about who Benin Republic had affiliation with or whatsoever. He responded with a Burkinabe-honed capability to defend the Beninois people. This is the true Pan-Africanism we're talking about. Now, let me leave you with this. 2 years ago, ECOWAS was threatening to send military troops to Niger Republic to restore Bazoum, who represented democracy. Now, sanctions were flying from left to right from ECOWAS, African Union, and all of that. They tried to sever them and break their survival by disconnecting them from so many international organizations. Now, that was the leverage at the time. The AES was called illegitimate under Tinubu's ECOWAS chairmanship that was leading that charge at the time. Now, Nigeria Defense Chief of Staff is going to sit down with the same leaders that ECOWAS called illegitimate to ask for help for securing Nigeria's own border. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean? It means that the AES have become more important than certain political interests. It comes to a time when time times a man and man can no longer time himself. The man will definitely just prepare for the reality in front of him. And I think this is where Nigeria is. Now, it doesn't take away from the fact that certain people might not like this move. We might not trust it. Some of the people out there might not trust this move. They might be looking at it that, Nigeria might be moving in a certain direction. But the security situation in Nigeria is beyond narratives at this point. Nigeria needs help. Nigeria recently called for reinforcement, the military recruitment and all of that. Do you know how many people joined? 6,000. 6,000, ladies and gentlemen, out of closing to 300 million people. It shows you something. That message right there. Look at the ratio. You have up to 300 million people, but you demanded that you need 24,000. You got 6,300. That is a sign that the people have even lost hope in the military. And when the situation has gotten to that point, ladies and gentlemen, who got the guts? Now, that is the first discussion that we have for today. You can kindly give me your opinion in the comments. I'm a Nigerian, and I'm telling you that the situation in Nigeria is critical. I won't forget this old Lagos, forget this old thing you are seeing online. Don't let anybody deceive you. Come to Nigeria, right? And I dare you to travel from one state to another by road, spending like 4 hours on the road. If you come back, honestly, I will be very, very happy. That is how scared people are to travel by road. Nigerians know this. It doesn't mean you cannot travel, but it's a 50-50 situation. That is from any state of Nigeria to any state of Nigeria. And I mean what I'm saying. So, that aside, let's talk about the situation of South Africa. Because, South Africa gave a deadline. The protest happened. The continent washed. The counter-protest happened. The world is scrutinizing the South Africans. But something is going on in South Africa that we need to talk about, because today there's a video going viral. When the Dudulas were protesting and they were running, they were moving up and down the whole place, and they got to the point where they were about to cross into the territory. I don't know if the Afrikaners have a territory in South Africa, but the Dudulas were about to cross into their territory. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened was something that you see in the movie. The Afrikaners shot at them. Now, when I heard the bells ringing, I felt like maybe they were shooting in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, those guys lowered their rifle like this, and they were trying to drop, they were trying to take these people out. The anti-immigrants, they ran for their life. The first man in front, I don't know if something met him. He did this before he even turned. Maybe it was the shock. There are certain people that even when they hear the noise, they can be telling you that something is inside them, even without anything being inside them, right? Now, the protest is going on, and Nigerians in Joburg, Nigerians in some other part of South Africa are beginning to do something that they call a counter-protest. And this is not just a peaceful protest, ladies and gentlemen. From the videos we have, some of them held knives, some of them had cutlass, some of them had bayonets, and they drew a line, between the Dudula and the Nigerians in that location. The police were there. Ladies and gentlemen, they drew a line and the police was between both. The Nigerians were saying the South Africans should cross over to their side and see what was going to happen. It was all chaos. It was all chaos. Some people don't want to leave. Some people want to fight. Some people are leaving. Some people are in some camps just trying to leave. But there's a narrative that people are bringing up that during apartheid, the same countries the South Africans are saying should leave. Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Mozambique sheltered the ANC freedom fighters. Mozambique lost 1 million people because they were housing the ANC at the time. Nigerian civil servants had to unconditionally get their monthly pay, which they worked for, even if the situation was not easy for them. They had to, out of blood, sweat, and tears, get 50% of their salary cutted away from them and sent to the ANC so that they can continue the fight against the apartheid South African hegemon at the time. And the grandchildren of those people are now telling the same grandchildren of the people that stood in for them at the time when their ancestors needed it the most, that they leave their country or they die. That's a statement that they made. And this protest is taking place around 120 different places in the country: Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, and it's even taking place in other places. And ladies and gentlemen, over 900 arrests have been made, mostly looters, people that are trying to steal from people's shops. According to information, the organizers were not arrested. Rubber bullets were found in the streets. Right? The South African Defense Forces were deployed. Now, thousands packed into makeshift camps, waiting for buses. Ghana, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, all the organizing, all these countries were organizing emergency repatriation flight for their citizens. But here is where the whole thing changed. The foreign nationals like Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans didn't just run. They gathered themselves in Johannesburg. Video circulated of migrants, like the one I'm talking about today, community forming self-defense groups, armed organizers. They are refusing to be victims. At least that's the narrative that we're hearing now. In Hillbrow, the head of Johannesburg migrants community, things exploded, ladies and gentlemen. A vehicle was torched. Stones were thrown at marchers. And then gunfires were heard against the people that are marching, the anti-immigrant, protesters. Now, the situation escalated to a point where the man that led, the general organizer, the guy that, he always cover his head with animal skins and all of that, he said he had to change vehicles while moving to a particular protest ground. They had to move him from one vehicle to another because he got the intelligence that certain migrants were trying to ruin him before he get to the protest ground. The situation is serious. A lot of people are saying that the Africans are saying this time around that it won't be like, how it used to be. It used to be a situation where South Africans just blitz through the whole place, send people out. And people did not believe that this type of resistance network will be created. Now, we have situations where, 3 suspects were arrested. Police confirms that the shooters were foreign nationals firing directly at anti-immigrant protesters. Now, we are hearing from some of the immigrants that the people that were arrested were not immigrants. If they ask me, who will I ask? Now, in Witty Bank, a Nigerian named as Big Joe was shot dead outside of his shop. His crime, ladies and gentlemen, running a business. Thank you so much, Angela, for the donation. I really appreciate it. Now, the message from the street is clear. Migrants they are already done being punching bags of the black South Africans. You know, I stand to be corrected, but I don't know if I can say a group of people are South Africans anymore. You know why? Because there are certain people in South Africa that say they are more South Africans than certain people inside South Africa that are born in, like, I don't understand what is going on in South Africa again. There are certain people that said they are Afrikaners and they want to have their own country within South Africa that will be shielded from the South African constitution. They said that country will be named Orania. They will have their own currency, they will have their own laws, they will have their own weapon, they will have their own independent defense and all of that. And they occupy some of the best lands in South Africa for mineral resources, for farming, and they want to name that place Orania. But these South Africans, these black South Africans that are migrated, that are protesting, are not even fighting those people, but against people who are probably doing many jobs in their country. So, ladies and gentlemen, what time is it in South Africa as we speak? Now, meanwhile, we have a situation where the ANC Secretary General went on Al Jazeera and called the xenophobic allegation, he called it far-fetched. He said what is going on in South Africa is nothing close to xenophobia. Meanwhile, Nigeria have summoned the South African envoy and demanded protection for our citizens. According to information, they announced that they will seek compensation for abandoned businesses, homes, and properties. Now, 600 Nigerians have been repatriated back to Nigeria. Ghana lost their citizens. They have protested. They have officially consulted the South African government. Senegalese civil society condemned the South African movement. You know, there's protest in Accra, Ghana. South African flags were burnt. You know, this is just not local anymore, ladies and gentlemen. This is a continental crisis. And here's what it means for the future of South Africa. Nigeria being one of the largest economy, that you like it or not, is the most powerful diplomatic actor. When Abuja demands compensation and summons your envoy and you shrug it off, Nigeria ECOWAS leaders have that leverage. I don't know if it's going to cause a breakage in economic relationship between South Africa and Nigeria. We don't know that yet. Now, the African Union entire legitimacy rests on this particular moment. Will the African Union hold the South Africans responsible? Will they hold the South African government responsible, rather? Now, South Africa used to be, I don't know where they stand right now, but it used to be one of the fundamental key components of the BRICS alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting side by side with countries like Brazil, Russia, China, India. So how does Pretoria explains to his BRICS partners that it controls the narrative when it comes to multipolarity with this current xenophobic attack that is going on? Some people are saying South Africa should not even be part of the leading BRICS country because of, playing both sides type of narrative. The South Africa, is an ally to the West and also an ally to BRICS. That what side does South Africa belong? Coupled with this current xenophobic attack and this whole tovy going on in South Africa. Now, the ANC political calculus, 32% unemployment in the country, 60% of the youths are unemployed. A declining ruling party like the ANC, now Jacob Zuma's MK party feeding on the popularity, and the ANC choose to look away from the xenophobic attack. Well, whatever decision they make, Julius Malema continues to fight for Africa. He continues to say that this move is not fair, but Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, and the African Union If they like, they should look away. If they like, they should make sure that South Africa pay for this. Now, for me, I believe South Africa have just traded their continental leadership for political survival, because this all xenophobia, protesting, and Dula, whatever, is for political survival of certain people. Now, you see, what I would say at this point is, I don't know what will happen. Because if Nigeria, Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe can put everything on the line, including their own life, their own peace, their own comfort, for the freedom of South Africa, being the frontline state at the time, and the children of those people are saying, we don't care. We don't care. Don't help us. You will say you saved us. So they're telling these people to leave, or they'll come back to their country in a coffin. And, in my own opinion, the world is watching. And the rest of us in Africa, we are watching. And the memory will never be erased. This moment will never be forgotten. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we'll draw the curtain for today. I want to appreciate everybody for coming back for this live stream. So we have been able to incorporate two topics in this live stream. First of all, the Nigerian security collaboration that is in the making between Nigeria and the AES state, where Nigeria is going to be sending their defense minister to the AES that is going to be touring the three AES country, right? And again, we are talking about a situation where the anti-immigration protest in South Africa is escalating very, very fast. Well, all we know is that either we like it or not, either you and I like it or not, Africa will be free. And whatever the problem is, at the end of the day, we will always get to the silver lining. Whatever the trials and tribulation, it won't break us. We are one. I don't still hate the South Africans. I don't know why. It has never been in me. Even with all what they are doing in their country, I don't have that thing in me to look at the South African and hate them. It's not in me. I don't hate anybody from any part of Africa. Right? I cannot look at an Ivorian now and say that because of Alassane Ouattara, I am going to hate him or her. For what? So this is not about separatism. This is not about, this is about coming together to achieve a common goal for the voiceless among us. Because let all hell break loose. Some of us will not feel it. But we are doing this for those people in the trenches, for those people in the village, for those people who don't even have a voice, for those people who can be attacked. And for days, nobody will know, because infrastructure, whatever, these people have not even got the opportunity to leave. These are the people we are fighting for. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming. This is our first live stream after the restriction was lifted. Well, I think we'll be toning it down a little bit on counter-terrorism, because I don't know if it's a problem now for me to talk about counter-terrorism. The video I gave this afternoon outside of this place about the 400 whatever, it was flagged. I don't know why it was flagged. We did not post any graphic footage or whatsoever. We appealed, they still flagged it. Maybe there are certain narrative they don't want me to speak about anymore. But it's all good. I don't know, but this is how we'll continue. Maybe I will no longer talk about the kinetics. Maybe I will no longer talk about the military operation. But we'll continue to talk about the development that is going on in the Sahel and across the entire African continent. I think that's what we'll start doing from now on. So I want to thank you all for donating. I want to thank Bad Design, Mr. Nelson, and oh God, I can't remember the name of the last person, but I see you. And for everybody that stayed, I really want to appreciate you. For everyone that hit the like button, you are our biggest MVP. I really appreciate you. Thank you, and God bless you. And don't forget, families, don't forget our new channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our new channel, just in case, right? The subscription, the restriction have been lifted, but still, there is a sort of, I don't know what I can call it. It's still on. The restriction have been lifted, but the censorship, I don't think it has been lifted. So whatever happens, so don't forget the new channel. Thank you, and God bless you. How do you like the having the live stream with this type of frame? Do you think it's better than the old one, or should we return back to the old methodology of having our live stream? Whichever way, let me know in the comments.